Ladies and gentlemen, yes, you are looking at the faces of two proud Baltimore Ravens fans because the Baltimore Ravens just defeated the Cleveland Browns to win the AFC North. Yes, yes, go Ravens. Hendo, how are you doing?
I'm well. Listen, the way that we started the season, we started off 0-2, and there was a lot of doom and gloom. Like, where is this team going? What is the identity of this team? And with the schedule that we had, how would they perform going forward? We hit a point of the season where we were truly dominant and looked like the best team in the NFL. Then we hit a couple bumps in the road. But to end up here as the AFC North champions, it feels really good, especially because it shuts up all of the Steelers fans. They have a game going on that's about to start in a few minutes. They can win this game, and it does not matter. The Baltimore Ravens are AFC North champions. They've locked in the number 3 seed for the playoffs, and now we just await to see who we play next week.
Woo! I am beyond thrilled because this season was one, as you mentioned, roller coaster ride for our Ravens. And there were periods, not even just in the beginning of the season, to where I questioned, who are we? What's going to happen? What are we going to do? What are we going to look like? Right? We have so much talent. Let's not waste it. And we've put it all together. We'll talk about this game, and then at the end, we'll talk about some takeaways from the game and as we head into the playoffs. But for today, let's just celebrate a victory. 35-10, the Baltimore Ravens defeat the Cleveland Browns at home, taking the AFC North title. In this game, we saw some really highs and some low lows. And we'll start with a couple of the lows. And I see we have our first super chat coming through. Thank you, Die
Appreciate it.
Hard Eddie. Thank you for being here. He says, thank you for the $5 donation. Dan acting like if you don't win enough in the regular season, you making it to the playoffs, trying to diminish Lamar because of his playoff record. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk
Indeed.
about it. Thank you for being here, first of all, Die Hard, but
Appreciate
also
it.
thank you for your donation. If you would like to donate to our channels, wherever you're watching, my channel or Hendo's, there is a super chat button down below that you can click on that. And Hendo also has a pinned link to his stream elements where you can donate. It's just a way that you can help further support the work that we are doing on our respective channels. But let's dive in. I see you, Tim Hughes. I was thinking about you and your sons the other day. I was like, I hope they're okay. Odin and Connor, I hope they're doing well. Happy New Year to all of you. I see you, Just Tornado, Cameron, Alaska Man, Agnes, go away. Yeah, don't make me get my pom-poms again. I put my pom-poms away, but I got to get them because this just deserves another one for Odafe Owe. But let's start with the offense, right? Let's start there. What did you think, Hendo, about our offense as we started this game? And we played our starters pretty much the entire game. What did you think?
I thought we started slow. It was reminiscent of like a playoff game for us. Like, we looked disheveled, disjointed. We didn't look like the team that actually figured out what our identity was. And it took us a little bit to get going. We realized, hey, if we want to get something going through the air, we need to get it going on the ground. We've been a truly dominant run team for the last 7 years since Lamar's become our quarterback. So we added a piece like Derrick Henry, run him. Now, don't run him into the ground, but run him enough. And we know when he gets 100 yards, 20 carries, the Ravens are undefeated. And he had 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. So we started slow, but we got into a rhythm. And this was not a bad defense that we went up against. I think we did the things that we needed to do, but we have a lot of things that we need to clean up. Offensive line needs to block a lot better. These wide receivers need to catch the ball. And I understand it's cold out there, but going forward, these are the type games that you're going to play in until you get to New Orleans inside the dome. You're going to be outside in frigid weather. So whatever adjustments they need to make as far as the skill positions go, get it done because we're going to need you. And hopefully Zay Flowers is okay. I haven't heard anything about it as of yet, but hopefully he's going to be all right.
Yeah, for sure. And that was something that Agnes asked about. Did we have an update? I know that there is a Baltimore Ravens live presser going on right now. I'm not sure if Coach Harbaugh gave an update or if he was even asked about Zay Flowers. Hopefully he was, and hopefully there was an update about him. Not sure whether it was his knee or his shin, but that's the area that he was grabbing when he fell to the ground. So as we're going through the stream, if you hear an update from John Harbaugh or from social media, leave it in the chat below. Leave a comment so that we can kind of all know what's going on, because we're all kind of on pins and needles about Zay Flowers. He is our wide receiver number one. But to your point, yes, Hendo, we looked undisciplined. We looked unprepared. On offense, we're strictly talking about offense right now. So if you're just tuning in, we are breaking down this win, thanking the good Lord that we were able to get this job done. Did not have too many concerns going in the game, but one thing that I'm thinking about is our offense needs to be better all around. It starts from Todd Monken and the play calling. It then goes to the offensive line needing to be able to block better. It then goes to Lamar Jackson needing to be able, have enough time to be able to make accurate throws. And then it lands on his pass catchers to be able to catch the ball. Like, it's that simple. And we are seeing an up and down with our offense that does not sit well with me, because I don't want to go into next week wondering, what offense is going to be placed on the field. But It's cold, it's windy, but it's going to get colder next week. And if we talk about going into the playoffs, having to potentially go to Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh would come to us, if I'm not mistaken. Would they come to us, or would we have to go to them?
No, Pittsburgh or the Chargers would have to come to us.
Would have to come to us. But then we would have to go to Buffalo, and then we would have to go to Kansas City. So conditions are not going to be favorable, but we've got to be able to find a way to play through it. But in terms of our offense, we did enough. We did a lot, and it was enough to get us to 35-10. And that's no small credit. That's no small part to Nate Wiggins, who gave us that additional 6 points with his pick. And we'll talk about the defense in a moment. But discipline, structure has to be there. Thank God we have Lamar Jackson. He did not have his best game. He threw 16 for 30. He had, in terms of completions, 16 out of 32. He threw for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Whew, that was my concern. I did not want him to get sacked, but no sacks. But he did make history yet again today. And so I'm trying to find exactly what he threw for over 4,000 yards today for the season. And he rushed for over 900 yards for this season. You cannot convince me that Lamar Jackson is not deserving of the MVP. I just won't hear of it. However, I understand that might not be in the cards for him this year. Hopefully it is, but it might not be. But those are my takeaways generally on offense, that we need to come out much better than what we looked today. So,
I mean, listen to what you just said. Think about this. Lamar Jackson, last season, I believe he had like 3,678 yards passing. Did sit out the last game. 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Won the MVP. Should have been a unanimous MVP, but we got haters out there. Jamal Chase touchdown. But this season, yeah, they just went down the field in Pittsburgh. They stink. But this season, over 4,000 yards passing, but more impressively, 41 passing touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. That's rarefied air to have someone pass for that many touchdowns and have under 5 interceptions. And everyone else that has done that has won an MVP. I didn't get a chance to check, but his passer rating is, I do believe, top 4, top 5 in NFL history. All of the guys in the top 3 won an MVP. Yeah. He added 900 yards rushing And he could have had more throughout the season if he really wanted to. Like, he just decided he didn't want to run as much. So on an off year, when you're not trying to run, you gain more than most teams starting running backs do while passing for 4,000 yards. How are you not the MVP? The narrative was, well, the Baltimore Ravens aren't even leading their division. So how can he be in the MVP conversation? Well, guess what? We won the division. And our division is a lot tougher than the AFC least. We don't get to play Pat's team twice. We don't get to play a down Miami team twice. We don't have to play a disjointed Jets team twice. We have a real division where any one of these teams can make the playoffs. And if Cincinnati wins and gets some help, that'll be 3 teams from the division that made the playoffs. So we play a tougher schedule, we play a tougher division, and Lamar put up better stats. So how could he not be the MVP? Like, it's a wrap. It's over.
Yeah, for sure. And that is what I'm saying for us. This is a great win. And it's amazing that we won. We are now kings of the North. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But I don't want that to be the end of our story. And like someone mentioned, I think it was Imani, the penalties.
Yeah.
Why are we at the last game of the regular season? And I was trying to find how many penalties for how many yards. I stopped counting after like 5 or 6. But that's not going to cut it going against much better teams than a 3-14 Cleveland Browns.
Right.
So these are the things that we are going to have to really kind of focus in on. And while I want it to be clear, I want the message to be clear, I'm ecstatic that we won today. I'm very happy. It does my heart good, but it's not where I want us to be in terms of the end for us. If we're chasing a goal and that goal is Super Bowl, the display that we saw today is not going to be enough. It was enough for the Browns. My question to you in the chat, and if you are watching on replay, let us know what you saw today on offense. Is it enough to withstand the Bills, the Chiefs, or even the Steelers or the Chargers, just depending on how that narrative goes? Is it enough? What do you think, Hendo?
Okay, it depends. We can overcome this if we've learned our lesson. So we can start slow. That's fine. We started slow in a lot of games and come back. The problem in the playoffs is when we start slow, we tend to go on that same trajectory and we don't make any adjustments. Today, we made adjustments. We were like, all right, this ain't working. Let's go to our bread and butter. If we can do that during the playoffs, no matter how we start the game, I don't see an issue with beating any of these teams. Yes, Josh Allen and the Bills, prolific team, they can put up some points, but their defense can't really stop anybody. And our defense has shown that they can shut them down. Other teams don't have the safety that we have. Other teams don't have a Marlon Humphrey. So we can kind of slow them down. The Chiefs, yes, 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. All credit to them. They turn it on in the playoffs. They got Hollywood back. Like, they're starting to add some pieces and get a little bit healthier. But their offense hasn't been that explosive Kansas City offense that it used to be. They're having some issues with their tackles and one of their guards. So our defense can kind of take them and slow them down. Listen, we held them last season to 17 points. I believe we can do that again. And if we play them and get in that same scenario, we'll put up more than 10. We can put up 40 points on the Chiefs. That's just if we play our game. So all teams can be had. Yeah. I'm not really worried about it. I'm just worried that 6 years of not learning from past mistakes may come back to haunt us again.
Yeah. We are at a place, and I see the responses coming in, and I agree with you. It's not going to be enough. Going against better caliber teams with better quality players, and this offensive framework is not going to be enough.
Right.
And I see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. It was Alex Beard. I happen to disagree with you, although you say Josh Allen is the MVP. I happen to strongly disagree, but I appreciate you coming by. Do us a favor. If you are new here, welcome. Please subscribe, join the family. And if you would do us another favor, double tap the like button for us. It helps our channels a ton. But I do think that, Alex, that they will likely give the MVP to Josh. Not that I think he's deserving of it. That's not to say that he's not having a fantastic year, because he is. He certainly is. But I do think that if I were to give a slight advantage, it would have to go to Lamar. But always room for improvement, Golden State says. Yes, definitely room for improvement. But I just think that room for improvement embedded in that statement carries the connotation that there is time for the room for the improvement. Time is not on our side anymore. We're at a stage now in the season where it's win or go home. There is no, we didn't get it right this time. We got to clean up that for next week. We have to do better. So yes, there's room for improvement, but by now we should have been further into that improvement side to where we're looking like we looked on defense. And we'll get to them in just a bit. The defense turned it up. That's what I'd like to see for our offense. Honestly, that's what I would like to see.
I like to see some adjustments. Listen, Zay went out with an injury. Injuries can happen at any time. Where was the movement or the adjustment to saying, you know what? Let's get Likely more involved. Let's drop something to get him open. Let's take advantage of that mismatch. No, we just kept the same offense, threw Tylan Wallace out there and just hope for the best. Luckily, Rashad Bateman was out there doing his thing, and Mark Andrews had some key catches as well. But where is the shift? Where is that in-game adjustment where you say, you know what? So we got to pivot. What are we going to do now? We just don't seem to have those answers. So hopefully things go well for us during the playoffs to where we don't have to do that, because the coaches just seem to lack that ability to adjust in game. Now they can adjust from game to game, but in the game, they have hard times, especially in the playoffs. It's something that just we haven't done.
Yeah. Key Mold, thank you for being here. I would say that I tend to disagree with that, just because before Zay went out, he wasn't doing very good either. There were a couple of passes that were right on. He dropped them. Some, and this again, that's why I say there's enough blame to go around. So it's not, oh, you guys don't ever say anything critical about Lamar. No, I'm going to keep it 100%. I love Lamar. And that's my quarterback. And I'm going to be there through thick and thin. But today, there were several passes that I saw that were short or that were overthrown, that were off. It happened. Now, we can certainly say, oh, it was windy outside. And those are the elements that you're going to face in January. If you want to be able to go to New Orleans in February, you've got to make it through the storm in January. And part of the storm means inclement weather. If we travel up to Buffalo in 2 weeks, do you think it's going to be sunshine and rainbows? No, it's going to be bitter cold, freezing, windy, could be a snowstorm, could be a blizzard. You just never know. So, but going back to that, Zay Flowers, he didn't look great even before he got injured. What do you think, Hendo?
Yeah, he has too many drops. But like I said, they just need to be able to adjust to whatever the situation is. Now, like you said, going to Buffalo, it's going to be windy and it's going to be cold. But the greatest thing about our team is you can always pack a run game. Like, run games travel everywhere in any type of weather. So if we can stick to that, even if we get stuffed early on, even if we get down by 3, 7, 10 points, Derrick Henry is a home run hitter. At any time, he can run you back into the game. Lamar can break a tackle and run you back into the game. So my thing is just not panicking. Don't panic. Stick to your game. Stick what has won us these games throughout the season. Stick to what's won us games through over the last 7 years. If we do that, I think that we are unbeatable. No one can stop our run game for 4 quarters. I don't care what defense you have, what defense you bring in. I don't care if it was the Ravens 2000 defense. You're not stopping this offense for 4 quarters. So if we stick to that, get some timely passes, receivers making those catches, who's going to beat us? And the defense finally caught up to the offense. Who's going to beat us? We're getting turnovers now. Yeah. We're shutting teams down and we're getting turnovers. The one thing that we were missing throughout the season. So stick to the game plan. Coaches, listen, minimize the mistakes as much as possible, especially procedural penalties. Those are the ones that frustrate me the most. Listen, get set. Know where you're supposed to be at during the plays. There was 2 plays where guys were confused of where they were supposed to line up. One was a delay of game. One was I forget what the other one was, but just these penalties, get them out the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a hold, I understand it, but just those things that, you know what, be where you're supposed to be. Knock those out the way, run the ball. It's simple. And we'll be sitting here doing this stream that Saturday night before the Super Bowl, getting ready for Lamar to win his first chip, because there's nobody in the NFC to me that can beat us. I know that the Eagles beat us, but if we see them again playing defense the way we're playing now, nobody can beat us. Nobody can beat us
Yeah.
other than ourselves.
Ooh, truer words have never been spoken. Shout out really quickly to Derrick Henry. Today, Derrick Henry, in spite of, like you said, Agnes, that offensive line, and we'll get to that in a second before we move on to the defense, but we do have a super chat coming through, and I want to give a huge thank you, a very warm thank you to Weber for the $5 donation. He said, Lamar's talent is a double-edged sword. EDC and Harbs think he can do it all so they can stay sloppy and complacent. Good point. Again, thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. The issue that I have here, and to your point, you are correct. We should never get complacent. We should never get satisfied. We should remain hungry, remain desirous of winning the Super Bowl, and not just saying, well, it's enough. Let's put on a C-level performance. No, we need to bring our A game every week.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to allow us, or to be able to be sloppy, complacent, lackluster, just because, oh, well, we have Lamar, so it's okay. To me, that's unacceptable. What do you think, Hendo?
Yeah, I think you can add another blade to that edge, because now you have Derrick Henry. And Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry mask a lot of deficiencies that this team has. And it sometimes turns into lazy coaching, because it's like, you know what, Lamar, go do your thing. Derrick Henry breaks some tackles. So it makes people look a lot better, especially the offensive line, look a lot better than they really are. And to me, that it's good that we have players that can make it happen no matter what. But then when it comes to actually surrounding them with the pieces that we need, now it's, why do we need them? We're doing fine. You're rushing for 100 yards a game. Lamar Jackson's having an MVP type season. So why do we need to replace these guys? Because you need better to do better. You know what I'm saying? So it is a double-edged sword, because we get lazy. We get real lazy. And hopefully this is the season. I've said it for the last 5 years. Hopefully we've learned from the mistakes, that we can't just say, go out there, Lamar, and figure it out.
Right. OBJ said that last year. Where did that get us? Devin, thank you for coming back. This is a new subscriber, and she is back. He or she. I'm going to say she because I see a female on the profile picture. But Devin says, Lamar needs to watch the clock too. Delay of game penalties is unacceptable. Absolutely.
True.
Clock management, I think that comes down to coaching, and it comes down to Lamar as well. So, yes, sure. We cannot afford to have penalties, no matter whether it's coming from our offensive line, we can't afford to have another bad snap from our center, Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, these are things that are going to have to be talked about, whether these are this is tough. It's tough to have this conversation, but it is true. And if we want to extend our season beyond one and done, and really go for the Super Bowl and win it all this year, we have a lot to clean up, especially on offense. Quick question for you. For those in the chat, and if you're watching on replay, let us know in the comments. What grade do you give the offensive line today? And before you answer, as you think about your answer, keep in mind that, yes, the Browns team, they're terrible, but they do have a very strong defensive front. What grade do you give the Ravens offensive line today? Hendo, I'll start with you.
I give them a C. I mean, they did their job for the most part. But once again, a lot of it was masked by Lamar escaping the pocket, Derrick Henry breaking tackles, or just outrunning people. They didn't give up a sack, but Lamar did get hit sometimes, and he was flushed out of the pocket on numerous occasions. So I think they performed okay. It's cool.
I I'm
Appreciate
going to
you.
give, yes, thank you, Mr. Chad. Thank you very much. I'm agreeing with you here. I'm going to give them a C. I think a C is fair. Okay, she said, Devin said yes, female. Okay, perfect. Sometimes guys will have a picture of their lady, their
Yeah,
girl on there, and so I don't ever want to assume. So yes, Devin, thank you, female. Um, so glad you came back, Devin. But
that's
um,
indeed.
yes, but I would give them a C. I think a C. I was trying to think, did they earn a C plus?
I mean, that'd be fair too.
It would be fair because I know that this was a tough challenge for them. This was tough. You have Myles Garrett, and he's been a terror ever since. Just we all know. Okay, so this is tough. I love the Ravens beat down. Yes, Justin, got some work to do on offense though, but we're glad for the win. Glad, happy for the win, and most of you all agree around a C, C minus. Chaos gave him a C minus. Okay, Chaos, I can't be mad at that. Robert said a C plus. Oh, Deshaun even said a B. Wow, Tone Smoke a D.
I mean, they
Lamar
didn't really
Jackson
give a
was
lot of
not.
push.
I know Lamar Jackson had 0 sacks. A lot of it, again, it is because he escapes the pocket. He is able to, he is Houdini when it comes to being able to be elusive. I get it, but a D, okay, all right, okay, I see. Justin says I give them an A because the Browns were unable to sack Lamar. And that's, an A, okay, I'll take it. But a lot of it too, I think Justin we have to give credit to Lamar for being that elusive. Like you even saw it on Myles Garrett's face toward the end of the game. He was just like, I can't believe this guy. I can't get him. And then my teammate tries to get him. He will not go down. Like he just won't. So, but yeah, I can agree. I can agree. Steelers defense looks terrible tonight, really. And they have all of their players back, I hear, or they're, on
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, they're down 10-0.
Ooh, well, we're not going to be here much longer. Let's go ahead. C is average. You're right. You're right. All right. So if the O line can at least maintain where they are or even bring it up just a notch, just a little bit, right? I think we'll be okay. It's just
Yes.
now a matter of Lamar getting in sync with his pass catchers, us hoping and praying that Zay Flowers is okay. Hey there, Zepia. Thanks for joining. Thank you.
What's going on?
I think we'll be okay. We will. We just need to be consistent. And like Hendo said, run the ball. Run the ball and set us up for the pass when we get to the goal line. That's it. That's it. If it's too cold out there and people are shivering, their hands are freezing, no problem. Run the ball. That's the formula. Key Mold says, why are we crediting the line for him missing sacks? I think it's a little bit of both because the offensive line has to be able to hold up. But then a lot of it too goes back to what Hendo was saying earlier. Lamar's just that good. He just is. What do you think, Hendo?
Yeah, I mean, it was some times they could have had some sacks, but Lamar escaped it. Like Lamar got out of it. It was one time where he just abused Rosengarten. Like he just took a step to the left and just was like, no, no. It was right there in Lamar's face, and Lamar just ran away from him. So, yeah, I mean, listen, everybody can play better. They have done better throughout the season. It's just that it's playoff time. Like you said, it's one and done. If you lose, you're going home, and we can't afford for the offensive line to take a step back and start regressing right now. Put your 5 best guys in there. And we've done it before where we went to the playoffs with a totally different offensive line. Put your best 5 in there and see what happens. If guys aren't living up to what they're supposed to do, bring somebody else in and see if they can play a little bit better. But this is the time we need to start playing our best football. We have a 4-game stretch coming up.
Ooh,
A 4-game stretch coming up where we need our absolute best each and every game.
yeah, yeah. Huge,
No,
huge shout out to Lamar for getting over 4,000 yards passing, over 900 yards rushing, breaking records every time he steps on the field, it seems like. Another shout out to Derrick Henry for getting his bonus today for his touchdown. I can't remember how many. Let me see how many he has on the season.
15.
14, okay, 15 on the season. Excellent work for and great motivation for Derrick Henry. Love to see that.
So to answer your question, Chaos, no. We have Joe Flacco and we have Benny Testaverde.
Yep. So there you go. He says, but Hendo, wasting perfect food burn says, but Hendo, they also played a lot worse more times. Yeah. There
I'm
you
just
go.
trying to be positive. I'm trying to be positive because I'm happy. Like,
Yeah.
where we came from in the beginning of the season to be division champs, like, things
Oof.
could have been so much worse. I'm just
Yes.
happy. But like I said, I hope year 7 we've learned our lesson. That's all. I just want to just feel like they're gonna get it together. Everything's gonna be okay. It's in New Orleans again, just like it was in 2012. We're gonna follow that same pattern and just go win us a Super Bowl.
That's right. Yeah. Super brother. Hey there. Welcome in. Yes.
Good.
It was a not so great day for Lamar Jackson and his passer rating. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I'm going to resign myself to kind of one thing I love about Lamar. He does an amazing job of blocking out the noise. And that's what I'm going to resign myself to do this week. Block out the noise and focus on whoever we have in front of us next weekend. I'm not going to get down on, well, who's the MVP and who should it be and why it was this, just because it doesn't really serve me, only because I want something bigger. Yes, I would love Lamar Jackson to be our MVP. And for us as Ravens fans, he is our MVP. I would love him to have the league MVP. But if it doesn't happen, as long as we get that Super Bowl championship ring, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, we want the best. We want the best. We want Lamar to break records because until Lamar got here, that's something that we've never had. We've had defensive player of the years. We've had 3 of them, and we've never had an offensive player shine for this franchise. And then here comes Lamar, and he has 2 MVPs. We want Lamar to get as many MVPs as he possibly can, especially in a year when he's just broken so many records. He's just doing things that a lot of people, even Ravens fans, didn't think that he was capable of when we drafted him. So we want him to get his flowers, get all the accolades that he can. But yes, Lamar's goal is to win a Super Bowl. That's the only thing that's on his mind. Yes,
Yeah.
he'd love to get a 3rd MVP,
Sure.
but in his mind, he just wants the Super Bowl. He wants to be recognized as a champion. He wants to bring one to Baltimore. But more importantly for me, I want Lamar to get the MVP. But then again, I don't know if I do because then that'll put a little bit more pressure on his shoulders. And I understand that pressure really doesn't get to him most of the time. But you have to realize he's already being talked about as the only 2-time MVP in this league that doesn't have a Super Bowl championship. Now, if you add a 3rd one, that's more undue pressure because now they're going to start, all they're going to talk about is, all right, Lamar has his 3rd MVP. Can he win the Super Bowl? And that's all they're going to talk about. He would be the only 3-time MVP winner to not have a Super Bowl, and that just adds expectation to it. So to me, if he gets it, cool. If he doesn't, cool. I just don't want Josh Allen to win it. That'd be even cooler.
Shout out also to Rashad Bateman for, I think he has now with this game over 700 yards receiving, which is an all-time high for him, career high. He has 756 receiving yards for the season. So
Nice.
a lot of our guys out there today doing great things, doing amazing things. We just need to see it. We just need to keep it up. We just need to keep
Hold
it
on.
going. Yeah.
Who said that? Where is it? Let me see what it is.
Delprod says
Yeah, there
Josh.
we go. Yeah, Josh Allen's been very consistent. Consistent at what? He went 9 for 30 versus the Houston Texans. Lamar didn't
Mm-hmm.
go 9 for 30 versus the Houston Texans. He I forgot what he did versus the Indianapolis Colts. I think he may have had 200 something yards, 280 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He went up against the Patriots defense. I think he threw for 151 yards on like 15 for 33 passing. No, he has not been. He's been consistent at times, but throughout the season, he's had really bad games. Really bad games, not MVP worthy type games. And he's had like 4 of them. He went up against the Jets team, didn't do very well. So yeah, he's not been as consistent as people try to make him out to be. But I've said this before: if Josh Allen is the MVP, give him the MVP. But let's not make things up to try to
Yeah.
push him to the forefront.
Right. That's right, Justin. I was just looking at Lamar's stats, 4,172 passing yards, and then you add over the 900 rushing yards, well over 5,000 yards total for the season, 45 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That is correct. I was just looking at that. QBR rating right now, as it stands on ESPN, 78.0, first. So